Yes, we have an apology for selling. Are there any apologies? Other apologies? So I have a mover by seconded Tony. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, against, carried. Thank you. So moving for minutes for confirmation for the feeding campaign bylaw. Have a mover? Oh, thank you, Tony. Do you have a seconder? So, for the feeding camping conversation, thank you, Robin. So, all those in favour, please say aye. Yes, carried, thank you. So that leads us into the decision on changes 2.1, starting on page 15.
Right, go back to the minutes we just approved.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Gary.
Part 3, I see there's no mention of the submission on behalf of the owner ratepayers. They gave them a person, not mentioned in there.
So you're looking for the Onumana ratepayers?
Let's just stick to that thing.
And who was speaking on their behalf?
There was two people.
Was it Angelique?
No, it's a female, Alan, someone, their submission of the page 623.
The Michelin.
No, the national media appeared, and they had a report that written media, and they referred to a number of issues, and they also had page 629, a report where the resolution, to tell you before we bring that to me, that they had.
So hang on, so there's two submissions that are missing in the presentations made.
Yeah.
And so they are from, if we can be.
I will get those, it's
263?
Alan, they physically appear here, sitting there, Alan, Marshall, I think it is, and Les, someone, and they produced to the, to our meeting, what is in the documentation under the booklets, page 623 to 630, and in that one there, contrary to what you've got in the report about Onumana, it has a resolution where the community will, on a report.
So hang on, Gary, at the moment, we're just correcting the minutes to
That's
reflect that they were attending in the meeting and their submission number.
and they were handed out to us.
Yeah.
And that's where, in the attachment from the report from Gary Tower, where they revoked the 2014 resolution for Onumana and proposed another.
Yeah, well, we need to content.
Contrary to what you had in your report.
So, firstly, those two submissions have been omitted in the commentary at the front. So can we have a copy of those, please, or your response back to those?
Through the chair, I can answer that question. I'll get one of my people to look at that, because that would be part of the hearing notes. Trying to just check that with them.
Were they included in the staff consideration for the report?
Yeah.
They were? Okay.
You say they were included in your report consideration?
Yes.
Hang on, well, just, Gary,
Just let me hear me out.
can we just amend the minutes and then you can raise that again when we start going through the report? So if we amend the minutes first in recognition of those submissions that were omitted in the minutes, is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay with the mover and the seconder? So can we just recognise, the only other thing that I did see in the minutes, I wasn't going to bother raising it, but my question to Mr. Johnson from the Motor Caravan Association was also not included, so that's okay. Are there any other matters to be raised? And Gary, we'll look forward to when we get to that part of the report. So the only moved and seconded, we're now on 2.1, which is the decisions on changes. So I'm just wondering if we shouldn't just, change both.
I was just going to say, it would be helpful if I perhaps just sort of set the scene and take a bit of a review of what's happened so far and things that be useful.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking that we'll take it page by page. Because I just think we want to take this slowly, work it through. So if you've got any comment to make, you'd both like to make, now's the time.
Yeah. I just thought, like I say, it might be quite useful. It's been a fairly long process since this first came to the council meeting back in February of this year, when we alluded you to the fact that the previous bylaw that had been made in 2014, unfortunately, the review of that had started too late, and that meant that the bylaw had been automatically revoked under the Freedom Camping Act in October last year. So it was agreed that we would develop a new Freedom Camping bylaw. At that meeting back in February, the report that you considered here talked about the problems that this district experiences when from the activities that people undertake when they do Freedom Camp, and it was recognised that that was a good foundation for regulating that activity under the Freedom Camping Act. The Freedom Camping Act is a little bit different from some other legislation that councils have powers under to make bylaws. The Freedom Camping Act by default says that freedom camping is permitted pretty much every year. The two exceptions to that are if another piece of legislation somehow restricts or prohibits freedom camping, or if the council makes a bylaw that says freedom camping is prohibited or restricted. And in the case of this district, probably the most relevant thing under the first one, which is other legislation that restricts freedom camping, is the Reserves Act. We have over 400, from our parts and reserves team can correct that number if I'm slightly inaccurate about it, but we have over 400 reserves in this district, and under the Reserves Act, freedom camping is prohibited. Freedom camping is prohibited on reserves under the Reserves Act, so therefore that default in the Freedom Camping Act does not apply to reserves. But all other council-owned land, for instance, for those of us here in this room, a piece of land across the road at 520 Yankee Street, that's a car park, that kind of council-owned land is under the Freedom Camping Act default as permitted for freedom camping. So we can make a bylaw, the council, I shouldn't say we, because it's not me personally. The council can make a bylaw to restrict or prohibit freedom camping, only got one of those two things, either restricted or prohibited, for one of three reasons. Either the restriction or the prohibition is necessary to protect the area. So that's the actual space, the qualities and values that are associated with that space need protection from the problems that are caused by freedom camping. The second reason that you can restrict or prohibit freedom camping is to protect health and safety of people that are in an area, the people that might visit an area, or people who might live in the vicinity of the area. To protect their health and safety, you can restrict or prohibit freedom camping. The third one is to protect access to an area. So again, the ability for people to actually go in and out of a particular area. If freedom camping activities are going to create a problem for people to be able to access those spaces, again, you can restrict or prohibit. That's it. That's the only reasons you can use. If you cannot satisfy yourselves that one of those three things, that there's evidence to show that one of those three things, one of those three protections has been met, then the default under the Freedom Camping Act applies and freedom camping is permitted. So we worked through a process after that meeting in February to look at the different areas around the district. We looked at our reserves, and this is where I appreciate can get a little muddled. I'll try and explain it as best I can, but please, if I don't explain it very well, please do ask me to go on. As I said earlier, freedom camping prohibited on reserves. But some of our reserves are in places in the district that we know are really popular. not only for, visitors to come and enjoy the various activities, particularly access to our beaches and so on, but also the places that are ideal for freedom camping because they're close to the different amenities and also close to the activities that people want to do. So in the past, in the 2014 bylaw, there were reserves under the 2014 bylaw where freedom camping was allowed to occur, that so-called restricted activity on those reserves. So we thought, right, let's have a look and see if there are any other reserves that the council has that also might be able to be areas where freedom camping could be permitted with, with some controls for those areas. So all of the council's over 400 reserves were looked at through the information in the council's reserve management plan and the individual knowledge of our parks and facilities officers and our compliance officers who see these sites regularly, and staff produced an assessment using a tool which has become fairly established best practice across a number of councils around the country that have freedom camping bylaws that gives a score for each of those three things. Protect the area, protect the health and safety of people, or protect the access.
Could you mention the other criteria you can use because other councils use completely different?
Okay, that's the only criteria that's in the act. Those three things.
Sorry, I've talked to Queensland and the other places. They use completely different criteria than the ones you've used.
But that's on terms. I can't tell you what the other councils.
This criteria.
That's what's in the freedom camping act. I didn't choose it. That's what's in the.
Through the chief minister, clarify, councillor, is it the tool that we're talking about? Because the criteria that Sharon's referencing in the legislation are different three, but when you mentioned Queenstown, are you talking about the tool and the matrix?
It's the scoring.
Yeah.
The scoring.
The scoring of the criteria that they use the different.
Yeah. These are different. Yes, correct. Yes, correct. Sorry, apologies.
But that's, we feel that the scoring has been underestimated or overestimated in any area due to our expert knowledge of those areas. Then we can certainly flag that and make those changes known.
Can I ask you another question? The resolution passed in February setting out the March 20 to April, May, June, July, and that, was that followed?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Gary,
Excuse me. You say engagement with community boards and communication with people who make submissions. Have you done that?
Yes, definitely.
You're going on about the signage again.
Sorry?
Is this about the signage again?
No, not about the sign. No, that wasn't proposed in July.
Oh, okay, we're going to move on with
Okay.
section 5.
Oh, sorry, I'll try and wrap it up because I know that's a lot of information, but I think it is, probably useful to inform your decision making. So we assessed the reserves. We also assessed non-reserve land in areas where we had evidence that freedom camping was occurring and may or may not be causing problems. So that's particularly a lot of our roads, some of which were prohibited or restricted under the 2014 bylaw, but we also looked at some others where we had some evidence through our RFS records, again, through the activities of our parks and facilities and compliance officers where they've noticed any issues. So again, applied the same scoring system to those non-reserve areas to, come up with a recommendation about whether freedom camping should be restricted or prohibited. Those proposals, the full assessment details and then a draft freedom camping bylaw and our required statement of proposal that the legislation requires us, the information we provide to the public, came to council meeting in July for council approval, and that was approved and that was put out for public consultation. The period for people to provide their written views on that ended on the 2nd of September.
Can I just ask a question?
Yep.
Was in February and April 2022, prepared draft bylaw and write statement of proposal. That didn't happen.
Yes, it did. That's what I just mentioned. That was what was agreed at the July council meeting.
No, it was to happen in April.
Oh, it didn't happen. It happened in July.
Well, that's the problem. It was meant to happen in April.
It didn't happen because it actually took longer for us to put together the draft bylaw than we had anticipated, so it did not come to you until
So
later.
why didn't you let us know it wasn't happening?
It did. It was just delayed. It didn't happen.
Sorry, it can come in July.
Right, we're moving on. Okay, carry on. Sean?
Yes, I'm nearly finished. Thank you, Your Worship. And so the period for people to give their views on the draft bylaw ended on the 2nd of September. As you've just confirmed in the minutes, the hearing was held of those people who wish to present their views directly to elected members on 14th. Then during that period, council staff have read through all of the submissions that were received, including any additional information that those people provided at the hearing has also been taken into consideration. And we've prepared for you, and you have in your agenda materials for today, a fairly long report from staff that goes through all of the submissions and all of the points that were raised by people in summary form. We haven't necessarily verbatim copied the content of submissions because you all have copies of, and you can look at those if you wish to see if there is more detail. But we have summarised that content and provided you with our recommendations of whether or not any changes should be made to the draft bylaw before you make it as a final bylaw. While the report is lengthy, some 120 odd pages, a significant portion of it is quite technical amendments to the bylaw that are drafting changes and drafting areas that we have picked up on. So substantive matters where people have raised concerns about the proposal for freedom camping in particular to be a restricted activity on some of our reserves. Those parts of the report are actually longer and go into more detail about those things, but yeah, a large portion of the report is actually technical drafting changes. I hope I've spoken a lot, I appreciate that, so I'm happy to.
How many popular sites were visited by your staff?
I would say at some point in time, all of them.
All of them?
Yep.
And were discussed with locals as to where the sites were going to be, where the parking was to be?
Not prior to the consultation.
So do you know where the actual parking is?
That's what he says in the bylaw.
Shown on the maps in that bylaw.
We don't have any problem.
We can certainly put them up.
They're within the draft bylaw.
We can put them up on the screen as we go through the sites, but they were clearly shown on the maps.
Through the chair, can I add that it is worthwhile, I think, from the staff perspective to just quickly touch on and answer those concerns about the process so far. So having a really very quick look at calendars, I can see that on the 7th of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the 7th of March, there's 2 meetings in the Whakatā board room. In the morning, that was with the Taira Pawanui Community Board, and in the afternoon, it was with the Whakatā Community Board. So there was an initial consultation in March with community boards. There was then a delay, as we've heard, in terms of the drafting, so that came late. And then the appropriate place to get community feedback in terms of the location and what we want would be through the consultation period, which has closed. We've had the hearings and now we're in deliberations. So I think it's worthwhile hearing those questions and concerns just to make sure that we're all understanding on the same page, because I think communication is really key here. So.
And it's also fair to say that in the cover report to this report, we've set out some of the results of that consultation by community board area. And some of the demographics where they live in the district.
So we know this answer those questions.
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate to raise them.
Right, does anybody have any other general questions before we start going through the page by page?
There was also consultation done with daily groups. We met with daily groups prior to going up to the public consultation.
So the last 48 hours, most of us have been receiving quite a bit of communication, primarily from people who actually came and submitted or submitted online. What they're saying is that the staff reports in some cases are quite different to what the submitters told us. So I'm just keen to see if
So if we take it page by page, when we get to Cook's speech, we'll be able to focus solely on Cook's speech. So if we take it page by page, we'll go site by site. And so The suggested resolutions start on page 15, and then we get into the actual summary of submissions. But if we start at page 15, there was those particular clauses, and they don't start amending things until we get into the actual schedule. So,
I think, sorry,
so we start with page
there are amendments to the clauses of the bylaw before the schedule.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, sorry.
So if we take you on page 15, those are just general changes to the preamble in the bylaw, not the actual schedule.
Yes,
So people are happy with that?
Yep.
Right, so if we go to page 16, again, there's a staff recommendation on the preamble. And that looks all very reasonable. And then we come down to schedule 1. So that schedule 1 is one at a time. We'll go through each of these, get sign off, and where there's contention, we'll go to that provision in the staff recommendation and discuss it there. Are people happy with that?
Yes.
Okay. So has anybody got any issues down to schedule 1? So nobody has any issues with that? That's fine. Then we'll start on schedule 1.
oh, so yes, the amended resolution. Do you want to do that now? Just in the last 48 hours, I received some new legal advice about the wording of clause 16 of the bylaw, and another small draft and amendment has been recommended by our legal advisors to be made to clause 16, sub clause 4. And this is about the ability to amend the maps, because the maps are not part of the bylaw. But currently, clause 16, sub clause 4 says that amendments can also be made to any references in schedule 1 or 2, and the legal advisors have said that's not appropriate to be done outside of a council resolution. So they recommended that we delete those words from clause 16.
So clause 16 we're taking out.
No, two amendments. So currently the resolution, the draft resolution is, yeah. Oh, thank you, Gary. Yeah, so the number 1 is already in the cover report. We get in number 2 to delete the words and any references to it in schedule 1 or 2 from clause 16.
Are people happy with that?
Yeah, I'm a lawyer and I'm struggling to follow.
Okay, so it's just a technical, it's a procedural thing at the beginning of the bylaw. This isn't substantive content of the bylaw.
This means that if there are any amendments to the maps, they would have to be brought back to council and approved by council. They couldn't be done under delegation to an officer of the
To
council.
amend the references on the schedule.
They're viewed as a serious amendment as opposed to just a technical minor amendment.
So council would have to make the decision.
Make the resolution.
Right, so
Thank you, Worship.
Can I just make a suggestion? So let's schedule 1, talking about no changes in the following area, and it lists them alphabetically. And then there's schedule, then talk about other bits and pieces, other places. But if we're going to say the first one, we look at Albert Street turning circle, and then we'd have to, I guess, could you put them up on the screen?
Yeah.
Because otherwise we then have to jump down to page 50 or 60 or whatever to see that one, and then we jump in, lots of jumping back.
then we're going to have to do that because of the way it's laid out. And we're going to have to go to the staff commentary when we want to challenge them.
Yeah, that's what I'm just thinking, if the half page type thing for each of those ones we're looking at there could be up there.
Not from the staff report, from the long report.
Otherwise, we're going to have to jump back and forth.
Yeah.
So we will have a scrolling, the report scrolling through as
You want me to do it or you?
I have no idea what that is.
It's on page 52.
Not about sharing my screen.
Okay,
As well.
okay, I'll do it, you just tell me to go.
Page 52.
So at page 52 of attachment of the attachment B.
You bring me up on green screen.
The knowledge and do it.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's correct, Harry. Yeah.
Okay, so Albert Street, there's been no change. Is there any objection to that?
So which,
We're on schedule 1, Albert Street.
Albert Street, 51.
oh, can we have a look?
The other, there's two, Albert Street,
This is 10.
Albert Street.
I think it might be a little bit.
The first
What page is that, Sandra?
It's on page 16.
Thank you.
We're going through the schedule 1. We're doing each site one at a time. The first one is Albert Street. There it's suggesting no change to Albert Street.
No.
And the current status is restricted?
It's prohibited.
It's prohibited. Okay.
Schedule 1 is all prohibited.
Yeah, so no objections there.
Can I ask a question? Was this in the 2014 bylaws? Was it repeated?
Albert Street.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was, yeah.
So the next one, Amodio Bay,
Okay.
boat launching and parking area, is it prohibited? My understanding is it is. Right?
So these are all prohibited.
Yes.
Schedule 1 is all prohibited.
Schedule 1
Oh,
sites.
that's not talk, because
These are all prohibited.
Everything on schedule 1.
Everything in Schedule 1 is prohibited.
okay, so that takes us right over.
Well, I just want to talk about Beach Road on the track.
Okay, well, hang on, if that's the case, then we're, let's see, Amodio Bay, everybody's, okay, so therefore, can we change this slightly then to page 16? Terry wants to talk Beach Road from Tar.
Correct.
The rest is prohibited. What's your concern, Terry? It's
So
prohibited.
Beach Road, I read your report, and it says it's because boat trailers will be parked along in this area. And that is incorrect. If you've been at the beach, the boat trailers aren't allowed past the playground. It starts the playground and it's yellow dotted line. And they're all parked around in the boat parking area, which is the other side of the marina and up around the marina itself. So there is no boat park trailing in this trailer park parking in this area.
So really it's a correction of the narrative, but you could actually say though, that it's prohibited due to congestion.
But there's no condition there.
You want to vote?
Yeah, I'd have 2 or 3 parks, freedom camping parks, because it's an open area of the beach and no one parks their boat trailers along there. They all park the other way. And the reason in the explanation there was that the boat trailers were going to take up the area, but they don't.
Well, I think in the staff analysis, it says most of the road is restricted to boat trailer parking. So there's no.
No, it's not restricted boat.
It's restricted to parking.
No, there's no boat trailer parking on that road up into the child's play segment, you know, the play area. And it's all double yellow line down there, so you can't park anywhere. And then it's a sweeping area where everybody parks for camping and no boat trailers are parked there. So it's not an area that is conducive to boat trailers, and you could put 3 in camping area, but 2 or 3 there, no trouble at all. So that's the question I'm raising.
Gary?
Well, Terry's correct.
So you now want,
Through the chair, can I just add, reading this, I think, as we've just touched on, we're saying that some of the side road, Beach Road itself has parking right in the playground, councillors, that's what you're touching on, and the rest is double yellow lines. So the pullover area in Beach Road is really used for parking, things like barbecue areas, playground, because there's nowhere to park on.
It's got a big sweeping, you know, where it is.
inside the playground.
Nowhere near inside the playground, apart from the space, just, it's up from it. There is a drive-through area
You're talking
of
about
about 300 metres of paved road. No toilets, barbecue areas.
It's adjacent to the playground to the, close to the beach or the wharf. And I think the point staff are making is that to park at the playground, immediately outside the playground, that's actually reserved for boat trailer parking. And so we're not saying boat trailer parking would be in the location you're talking about, but that's where people would be parking for use of the playground.
Well, if you go up further from the playground, there's an area at the end, there's two or three campers, no problem at all, no problem at all.
So one of the, I guess, concerns that we've had there and open discussion is that it's currently been prohibited. So it's been prohibited in the previous bylaw. We've gone out seeking submission on the fact that it remained prohibited. There's been 18 submissions supporting that, 8 in favour of what you're saying, councillor, and again, taking a compliance perspective from my world, that we wouldn't know the extent of the issue at that site because it's always been prohibited.
It was prohibited because one of the gentlemen right across from the road has a usual park, it's close to the playground compliant because of that. And moving the other, right up towards the ocean beach sports on the road there, there's less issue at all there, and that would be fine.
So we can have the discussion. I'm just laying out the current.
Was there a submission from the community board on this piece?
Yes.
They view on
There was a submission from Parliament on this that supported it.
supported it being open up for camping.
Yeah.
Supported, who supported it?
The community board didn't put it in submission, so Ken Coolham came to the meeting and wrote, spoke online and supported 2 or 3 in this position. Through the submission.
So, and yet, okay, and yet there are a number of them have voted against it, and that's the map up on.
Yeah, the location's going to change.
That's a prohibited area, and given the congestion of Whangamata generally over the summer, I personally would uphold the staff's decision.
No, it's plenty of space. All the space to the left-hand side up there is all where the boat trailers are. On the right-hand side, there's a big swale coming, a road coming through there. And it's open and easy and access, and heaps of people can use it and access it. So no problem at all for three campers at night time to be there.
Can I just raise a question about how we're going to continue with it? If we've got an area like this, which has always been prohibited, but we're now having a discussion about whether there should be some freedom camping there. For us to then put an area saying, yes, we're going to have freedom camping there, wouldn't that then require consultation again?
I would agree.
Yes. Yeah.
So are we at that place?
This is the area where we get our input.
Yeah, I understand, but the community hasn't had input on the particular site because it's prohibited.
No, it has.
So as you just heard Brian say, there were how many submissions?
So we proposed it prohibited, we've had 18 for, and 8 would reopen it up.
I understand that, but it's over that whole red area. There's no specific little purple bit like in all the other maps saying this is where we're going to put it.
Correct, because that's our draft proposal is that it's prohibited.
Yeah.
And I'd uphold.
I'm just putting that out there. I don't know how we want to do this.
Because I know that Whangamata is super congested over the summer period. There's no question about.
These people are 3 campers at night, Sandra. This is not during the day. Anybody can camp anywhere in the day. You know that.
Yeah, and you also know that Githerwinets will take a while.
No, we're restricting other areas of town. We haven't got, there's only about 10 campgrounds in the whole town that we're looking after, not 100.
So, Terry, when we had the submission and hearings of people, I asked the same question because that was exactly the opposite argument they used at this point, is that it's really busy and it's really congested. And I said, but what about 3 campers at night? And they said, no, he's still part of the problem. So you can't have it both ways. Either they are.
No, well, they're physical different situations.
All right, I'm going to put the motion around accepting Beach Road as prohibited or restricted?
Prohibited.
Prohibited is the word. So we can give an indication for where the councillors sit, because they've had ample opportunity to discuss the two, to acquaint themselves with these, so.
I just want to pull it up. I don't think we have. This, to me, I'm just sitting here now, this last 2. We haven't actually done it. Like many people here, I've done the submission process a number of times, and this thing would have taken 2 days to go do justice to it. I just feel if we're going to try and get through this, because quite a few questions to come, we're going to be here at midnight. I just think this process right now is rushed, and I personally don't think we're going to do justice to it. I'm almost alarmed about it. There's an awful lot of information that I've had it and read it once. For some reason, it's fallen off here and here. I've got it back again. But I just think, but if we're going to go through each one of these things and do justice to them, we're not going to get home for next week. So
At some point, we've got to just sit down and do the hard graft, and this is it.
well, that's right, but we weren't told that we're here at midnight tonight. Because I've got things I'm going to do too, so.
If we have to call another meeting because we can't get through it, then we will.
Well, maybe we should do it fresh, but,
We'll get through what we can today, and then if we need to call another meeting, we will. So let's just suck it up and get on with it. Now, beach road, all those in favour of it remaining prohibited, raise your hands.
I don't have a view, it's not my patch. I don't know. I'm not going to.
This is our responsibility as councillors to do this bylaw. Why drop the ball now about it?
We had the input.
You've had it. You've had every opportunity
No, we
to do
don't
it.
think up with submissions, we're here to talk about it. We were told we weren't allowed to put a submission in. We told we were here to debate.
Consulted with the community.
Can I just say?
We didn't put a submission in.
But they were consulted before.
Yeah, got up and did it.
I actually hear what Tony's saying, this is going to be a big process, but I will always love to support the local councillors from the area. Because I believe, hang on, because I believe that they carried the knowledge through this council table, but when there's submissions coming in from the public, which are contrary to what our councillors are saying.
It's not contrary.
Sorry, it was 18.8, I believe. Yeah, 18 wanted to remain prohibited. Then I'm afraid I've got to listen to what's coming from the community. And, yeah, so, I mean, I'd support it being prohibited on the basis of what's come from the community, not from the councillors that live there. I think you guys have got to also support what also comes in from your community. What also comes in from your community, not your own personal views on what you think is possible, but what your community has said. So, yeah, that's where I'm at, okay? And I, at the moment, vote would be prohibited because the majority of the submissions have said they want it prohibited.
Yeah, but look, I just want to speak to this because the majority of the submissions from the people who live directly in front of these places. It's not the whole community. It's not 4,000 people. So you've got to be considerate of what you're supplying to town. We're supplying a small number of vehicles to stay overnight. And we're trying to get the road down. Not the hundreds of wickets and all those.
Right, Robert,
Well, when reading the fact that there are 8 that oppose the fact that this is prohibited, I look at some of those people who oppose it, at numbers 1, 12, 13, 100, actually have opposed pretty much everywhere. So I don't know that they're.
They just don't want free.
Can I talk? They're not looking specifically at that location and saying, yes, this is appropriate. That I would imagine if you went back to those submissions, they're saying everywhere should be allowed in the.
And that's not the community. It's just the voice for them.
It's not a style that you can use.
We're going to deal with the submissions, so they.
okay, so you've got to make a decision.
Yeah.
Like it or not, you have to make a decision.
Okay, so
Are there any other comments to make on Beach Road? There are none, so I'm going to put the support or against for Beach Road being prohibited. All those in favour of prohibiting Beach Road, raise your hand. So we've got clarity. Against? 2. Right, so it's carried. We're carrying forward with prohibited on Beach Road. Are there any other areas on page 16 that people want to talk about before we move to page 17? So that's Blackjack Road, prohibited. Remember, these are all prohibited.
Great.
Right, okay. So we're moving along. If anybody else agrees with that, they need to speak up. The next,
Would it be possible to have the list back up again on the screen?
have what? Have the
The resolution on the screen, page 15.
So we're now on page 17, looking at that list of prohibited, down to Kuma, well, that's prohibited. I'm not quite sure what that's separated now. Okay, no, they've all got page 17 in front of them. So are there any areas of these prohibited scheduled ones that you want to discuss? Otherwise, they're all prohibited. Right. Page 18. Again, these are all prohibited. As I understand it, they're all part of Schedule 1 on page 18. So they're all prohibited. Is there any ones on page 18 that anybody wishes to discuss? There being none, I'm assuming that you're all in support. For an actual fact. Then we move to page 19, which again is Schedule 1. And I noticed the Esplanade area. And so they're all prohibited. Correct me if I'm wrong at any stage. Page 19, Schedule 1, all prohibited. Any issues with any of those?
Can I just ask a question for clarification? Generally, the idea of the legal thing of taking the actual street address out is that so people don't go and park in that person's address.
Yeah, that's advice I received is that often their address doesn't actually bear much resemblance to where the actual entrances and things. It's therefore actually for the purposes of our council rate.
Okay.
So yeah, it wasn't appropriate to put it as part of the legal description. So yeah, it's a very legal technical change, which I apologise.
Thank you.
Take up so many pages.
Right, so we're now on to page 20. And the beginning of page 20, there are three which are prohibited. Is that correct? Those three are Schedule 1. You might need to indicate those three are Schedule 1 and as a consequence prohibited. We're now on to Schedule 2. And there's no change to the following areas. Schedule 2 is what?
That's the restricted areas. So that's where in most of the places there is a designated place where people can freedom camp. And there is a limit on the numbers that can camp in that area. And sometimes there's some timing restrictions on it as well. So that's what Schedule 2 is the restricted areas. And again, just to go back to my introduction, reserves where we have recommended freedom camping to be permitted are restricted areas. I realise that language starts to become very awkward.
I get it. Right.
But the reserves in Schedule 2 are permitted for freedom.
Before we leave Schedule 1, I just wanted to point out that we're recommending that 2 new areas be added to the Schedule 1, but as proposed. They were in our council's submission on the bylaw, and those two reserves are the Arikitari Reserve at Tekuma and the Kirikiri Reserve at Coromandel. So
Right, moving right along. Right, okay, thank you. Right, Schedule 2, which is restricted, therefore permitted, but with conditions. I'm going to read them out one by one to make sure there's absolutely no misinterpretation. We have Brown Street, Thames.
Which page is that on?
Page 20.
No, further over.
it'll be in the report, you mean?
Yeah. Page.
Must be, you know, if it's down to Schedule 2. Yeah, but he wants to find
Wants to change
the
the
assessments. Oh, right, yeah. So the assessments start at
Page 108.
thank you.
Oh, because I have page 71, which is obviously one we've gone past. The library and TCBC area, which was that already prohibited, was it?
Which page are you on, Gary?
71 in here.
Which is,
I must have been in Schedule 1 with that.
Yes, so it's in Schedule 1.
Schedule 1 prohibited.
Okay, I thought that had been, okay, that's all right. So what page did you tell me?
We are on page 20, which is, I don't know what it is on
We're
here.
following the list on page 20, but the assessment for each site will be starting at page, attachment B, page 108. So you have to flick back and forth between the assessment and the list.
So I hope this bylaw itself is structured better. So, Schedule 2, which is permitted with conditions. Brown Street, Thames, Tui Terrace and Wharf Road. Where are they?
Tui Terraces in,
Where's Tui Terrace?
Yes,
in
and
Tyrone.
Is it in Thames?
Tyra,
Tyrone, and where's Wharf Road?
Coron-
Talking Colville? Coromandel?
I would imagine it's the golden one, but I'm not sure. Oh, it could be good for a few.
Yeah, it's two terrace and Wolf Road.
They're both in the same place.
Yes.
They're both in Tyra.
They're in time, just bring it out on screen.
Your worship, so I think you need to add that in there.
It is in the bylaw. Yeah, the bylaw has Tyra. in it.
It's not as the schedule we're considering, so. Okay, so no comments around those. Amend the Aiken Road Sports Reserve area by adding.
Qualified car park,
Pardon?
qualified car park was a
Oh,
couple.
sorry, qualified car park and part of Tangiora Avenue Fun Park.
It's a main car park, there's a couple there, isn't
Yes, two spaces there.
it?
So
So there.
It's no change to the
They're
current-
existing now.
It's current what's there now.
We didn't really think about that.
Okay, and so, Aiken Road Sports Reserve area by adding Whangamata to name of the area, so that's just pro forma.
Yes, correct.
And deleting 309 Lincoln Road from Whangamata from a legal description of the area. So that's just an amendment for what's an existing condition. Amend Cook's Beach Central Reserve area by deleting 2A Review Road, Cook's Beach from the legal descriptions of the area. We can amend that, but we haven't got to the Cook's Beach freedom camping site per se in this, have we?
We need a map of Cook's Beach and go through the whole lot like that.
Yeah, but that's not on this one, this is just technicality.
Yeah.
Amend Corrigan Reserve area by deleting, so that's just a change of descriptions. But it is the Corrigan area. Amend Danbyfield car park area, and that's,
Where are we? Because I flip over, you go to Cook's Beach and then I go to the page 111 and then.
No, we-
on somewhere else.
because we're not dealing with the actual freedom camping restricted category on Cook's Beach just yet, we're only looking at the technical description.
Well, can we have a call out of the number of other page when it's relevant? Because
I did, we're on page 20.
no, but I'm looking at the.
Page
Maybe I
fifty
should
six.
explain.
Somebody so
That's
excited.
fine. The worship is too small, giving the amendments to take the amendments here first,
Oh,
and then she's going to.
okay.
So,
Anyway, okay, amend Danby, so Danbyfield car park, says description. These are actually just a description amendment. Egan's Reserve at Panorama Road, or 309 Road, Panorama. Port Road, Whangamata. Amend information centre car park area by inserting 616 to the name of the area, deleting 617 from the legal description, deleting the word area. So again, those are descriptive. Any issues with that?
No issues at all.
Okay, great, thank you. So that takes care of page 20. Page 21. So amend Island View Reserve by adding Whangamata, deleting Rangi Avenue and deleting the word area. So again, descriptors again, and so that's Panga Road, which
I just want to talk about Island View if I can.
this is only changing words, it's not actually discussing the restricted prohibited aspect yet, Terry.
Right.
So we'll come to
Okay,
that.
So we'll come to that.
Yeah, and if it's not there further on, we'll go back to it.
Thank you.
Kapanga Road, this is in Whitianga, right, so that's all right. So then I've got Lee Street car park. That's in Whitianga, so these are two separate ones? You're gonna put a break in there
Yes.
and hit at Lee Street?
Yeah.
Okay,
Excuse me.
thank you. Again, I mean, Little Bay, by changing the descriptors, Mackie Street, Ocean Beach Road, Kawanui Beach Road, Ohinia.
Now, I just want to ask a question about that. Because the way I read this, in clause 3, there is a designated parking place at Ohinia Drive.
designated place, yes.
Yeah, in schedule two.
And part on.
So you don't want to discuss that yet because we heard substantially.
Yeah, we'll
We will
discuss.
go to it.
Okay, so. we'll
So
leave
these
it
are
at
the
that.
technical descriptors.
Yeah, I just
which
wanted to
will-
make sure we were.
Yeah, that's the same issue that Terry's raised, and if it doesn't come up later, we'll definitely go back to it. So these are just the technical wording descriptors. There's only just descriptors here. So, if anyone's got any issues with the descriptors, that's what this is about. At Marne Reserve at Matarangi. And you've got all those other things in there, so I hope that's correct. Onamana Beach Reserve. We're now on, sorry, that's page 21. So if anybody's got anything on page 21, again, they're just descriptors. We've got descriptors on page 22. And that's, I'm only going to name the places. Aratia Place, Onamana, Pheasant Point. It's at Pawanui, Pirangi Reserve, at Cook's Beach. Amended Rose Park Car Park. Royal Point, Takareka Reserve. Sandy Bay Recreation Reserve. Tingamoana.
So sorry, Worship, the recommendation for Sandy Bay is that it's deleted. So that's not just a technical wording change. The recommendation is that we remove the area from the schedule to the bylaw.
Because it's reserved.
Yeah, that'd be where we can, I mean, you could go to look at the, that now, or we can come back to it.
Does it then?
If everybody's happy with that, I'm happy with that.
Does it go out to the one?
So, yes, so the recommendation of staff for Sandy Bay, there were there's two places there on the foreshore, which is part of the Port Charles Road. And then there's a piece of council reserve land on the other side of the road. So we went out to the community asking for views about one or other or both. And based on the views and submissions, it appears that the reserve is not suitable for freedom camping. So again, it's already prohibited there under the Reserves Act. So we do nothing, it stays prohibited under the Reserves Act. And then on the foreshore, which is part of the road, under the Freedom Camping Act, that is currently permitted freedom camping, and to do something else about it. We don't have a lot of evidence about people freedom camping there because it is really remote and difficult to get to. So our recommendation is that we just leave the status quo as it is. People can freedom camp on the foreshore under the Freedom Camping Act, they cannot freedom camp on the reserve, and then we monitor and if it looks like it's causing problems, come back and property.
So there were submissions about it and they were rejecting freedom camping being there.
Yeah,
On the reserve.
on the reserve, on the reserve.
Okay, not a lot of difference between the two, but okay. Rightio, so then Tangamoana Esplanade Reserve and Tararoo Beachfront. So thank you for pointing out though the non-technical amendment, which appreciated. Then there's Tararoo Road, Tararoo Cultural Arts Centre.
Again, same thing with, excuse me, your worship, with the Tararoo Cultural Arts Centre, we recommend that it's deleted. It's a reserve, therefore freedom camping will be prohibited there under the Reserves Act.
The Kubai Area Office, Main Street, Waikawa South Reserve, Timcoast Road, Waikawa. I want to have a line break between that and Wyoming Domain. And just for ease of, I'm not quite sure how you restructure the environment.
Not like this.
No, okay, Amended Waitoka Stream, Graham's Creek, Whipple Reserve at Cornwall, Williamson Park. That's just the technical description. Williams Ave, Coromandel, and that concludes those technical amendments. Now, we're going into comprehensive stuff on the recommendations. We'll start at page 30. So we're going to the areas of assessment now. So restrictions. Right. Can we go to page 39? So The first one is actually on page 40, clause by clause analysis and recommendations. Clause one is titled, no submissions were received on that clause. Staff recommendation, next one here. Commencement, staff analysis to allow sufficient time for tasks, okay, that's fine. Any issues with page 40 or 41? We're now getting to substantive recommendations. There've been none, I'm over to page 42. Oh, the interpretation.
This is where, sorry, should I interrupt you?
No, you're right.
So primarily the submissions here are about the definition of a certified self-contained vehicle, and most particularly the submissions were about the reference to the New Zealand standard, that is the method by which vehicles are determined whether or not they are certified as self-contained. So most of the submissions commented on that. The vast majority of the submissions that commented on it support the definition and the inclusion of the standard by reference, but there were some significant concerns raised in some of the submissions about the reference to the standard and whether or not the standard was sufficient means to ensure that people do actually use their facilities. We unfortunately, it's difficult to do anything more about that in the bylaw than what we've done. So the staff recommendation is that we don't change anything about the definition.
One of the things that came up was the definition of self-contained, where it was suggested the Motor Caravan Association use that to try and increase their membership by having things even wrapped up in use or whatever, versus approved. So what is the actual, like, does the Motor Caravan Association self-contained? Does it got any legal step?
Self-contained is certified. They're now going to improve the certification so it's more controlled.
Wow.
So no matter what happens, self-contained is certified.
Okay.
That's the current. The future will be certified by the gas plumbers.
Yes, that's the proposal.
So this takes all that into account.
Yes, yes, it does. He said this is the best option we've got at the moment. The central government will improve things with the amendments to the act.
Right, yeah, moving right along, 44 to 45, we're now on 45. We're moving on from the self-contained issue onto the 2 consecutive rights restriction.
Can I ask a question? Did you take into account peak periods where, like, it's very busy, and I can understand maybe they want to move on, it's not a busy time of year, but there was a distinction made from peak sometime. Like, I'll give the example when the commissioner had the hearing on Williamson Park, he would not allow anything from the 25th of December through to the beginning of February, because the place was just so busy. And he'd heard all this evidence. All I'm saying is sometimes of the year, the places are very, very busy. But there's not been that sort of distinction of looking at really busy times versus times which are quiet, and it doesn't make much difference.
That's what some of the restrictions are about in some areas.
I haven't been able to see that.
Yeah, there's some analysis and discussion about that, probably the next page along, in relation to the overnight restriction, where quite a lot of people made the suggestion that that should only apply in something defined as a holiday season. And the staff view on that is that freedom camping in this district occurs all year round. Yes, of course, there are some periods of time that are busier than others, but it's not going to have a positive or negative impact on the control of the problems to change.
So I've just mentioned the 2 nights overstay, and you've just mentioned about restrictions. So if you look at the staff recommendation on page 47, you'll find that we can shut down any area in Schedule 2, which are restricted permitted areas, for any of the following reasons. And there is ample room in there for us to be able to do that for a peak period, largely due to access and congestion. But you've got to remember, during that peak period, we've also got a massive fire risk.
Sorry, a massive fire risk.
Fire risk. Water shortages and fires combined with access issues makes it very problematic for our district. And so I think the staff recommendation is great because I think there are certain places where if the area isn't prohibited, that for the summer period, we should be closing it down under this provision.
No, I haven't read that clause through.
Should we add, not subject to appeal?
Does it say that?
No, I'm just saying,
There's no right to appeal.
say they take us to court, then someone bends over. So for me, I'm having to make it, but you can't change it. This is our district. The rules are made by us,
Right.
and not the boat caravan
And
association.
we'll be making that well known
Good.
to the select committee through the submission on the bill.
Excellent.
Sorry, Martin, did you have something?
I'm not sure you could put county.
They're nice, they're nice.
So I just, with that, 47, talking about the temporarily closed for one of those 4 different reasons. I just wanted to check with Brian from a compliance point of view, you guys would be all right with being able to enforce those areas, those particular times on that?
Yeah, look, it's not unusual to have temporary restrictions. I think we have it in the dog control bylaw around breeding seasons, where we work with dog, they'll identify temporary changes to our bylaw for certain reasons.
Yep.
Yeah, simple principle, we would put signage up and monitor them a little bit differently.
Yeah, like the big shop, they have a big sign, like a big shop. There's no way you make it.
At the beach stop will be 1,000 camper wagons there.
I will try and be.
No, it will be. We open up
Sorry,
3 areas.
Can I just circle back? So you're okay with it?
Yep, we got that.
Thank you.
Rightio, moving right along. We're now on to, so there's no issues there, so everybody's pretty happy with that, and we've got now track changes for clause, and this is just general.
Just so you can see what it would look like in the actual final bylaw.
Okay, so I think 48 and 49, just clarifying all of those. People happy with those?
I am.
Right, so we're making progress, team. Now we're getting into the meaty bit, I think. So we're going to, so we're now on the Amataki, so that's prohibited anyway, that's in the prohibited.
Yes,
So that one's fine. No, we're
two new areas.
Yeah, no, we've got that. 50 and 51, that's fine. Okay, everybody good with that? Now we're on 52. Is Albert Street, Esplanade, Whitianga.
So we're going through schedule 1, which is the prohibited.
Yes, these are the prohibited areas. Yep.
So these were the prohibited ones, so we need to actually go through those now. So yes, we do.
Yeah, they've all got those technical changes which you've already gone through.
Yeah.
So,
So now we need to go through them one by one because I can see one retard coming up too.
I'll be ready again.
Okay, Te Puru, any issues with the Upper Reserve at Te Puru?
You want the maps up and Sandra talks to them?
Well, only where the contentious, only where the contended. Right, beach road.
Stuff which is 98 Elm Street.
No, it's
28 Albert Street.
Whitianga.
Albert Street,
Esplanade. 98.
Or 98 Elm.
Well, that's why we're taking it out, because it will take you to kind of
Okay.
one adjacent part, but it's not the actual.
I'm not.
Yes, that's why we're removing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's confusing.
So we actually made a decision on Beach Road Whangataa already. And voted on that, so we're going to bypass Beach Road Whangataa, Blackjack Kuatunu, that's prohibited,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's a Bluff Road, you're okay. Buffalo Beach Reserve. Yeah, so that would be towards it, right?
We're on page 56.
Okay, it's helpful for us that we get that page number, because
Yeah.
we've all gone down 5 pages.
Okay,
It's prohibited anyway.
That's good.
56.
prohibited, right, you're okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, Kerry Street, Port Charles, it's prohibited, that's fine, nobody disagrees with that, John?
No.
Page 58, Measuring during reserve, that's prohibited.
Yeah.
Happy. Cold forestall, same as.
59.
We have page 59, okay, over page 60, Pitson Park. 61, Dundas Street and boat ramp.
Yep.
Esplanade Drive on Bataan.
62.
Flexible Bay, Fletcher Bay Road, Fletcher Bay, Gallagher Park, Pawanui, Hahe Settlement on page 63.
Yep.
Harbour Court, Pawanui, Hotwater Beach Settlement, Hunt Road, Whangamata. Jack Mills Reserve at Pito Bay.
Yep.
You all good, Kerry?
Listening.
Tauranga Valley on page 66 now. Kennedy Bay, Kennedy Park, Pawanui, 67, 68, Kopu Boat Ramp, 69, Kuanui. 70, Kuanui Bay, 71, TCDC Library.
So, final.
Sorry, from the tar.
So Kerry, that's.
71. 71, Library,
Yes, that's
TCD Area Office Car Park. What?
Well, we've got prohibited block.
Pardon?
They're prohibited against fire.
Oh, you're right, okay, so that's gone, just need to.
I thought it was a good spot.
You've got the other one on the other side, so it's only the one.
And it's information, the market operates, the market
What
operates.
page are you on the phone?
Okay, Library Car Park, Thames.
From page
71.
But we've moved on already. There's two library ones, one after the other.
Little Sandy Bay Foreshore, 73. 74, Marine Parade Reserve.
Oh, the other thing.
Some pages have got two locations on them.
Okay. So Marine Parade Reserve, Cooks Beach, page 74, that's prohibited, right? Page 75, Matapawa Bay Road, Pito Bay. 76, Moore Crescent Reserve at Pito Bay. Oamaru Bay Foreshore at Pito Bay, again, Otama Beach
So,
Road.
excuse me, Your Worship, just on the Moore Crescent Reserve, the recommendation is to increase the area that is covered by the prohibited to include the road itself. Because the road is not part of the reserve, so currently freedom camping is permitted on Moore Crescent Road itself. And the submissions, raise the point that that is actually part of the concern for the area. So the staff have assessed that and agreed that the road should also be a prohibited area. So we're recommending to include the road.
We're just agreeing that's more Blackjack Road,
This is Moore Crescent.
but it's like the road that we are prohibiting is Blackjack.
That's already prohibited
Blackjack.
on its own, on its own.
It's
Yeah.
more crescent.
This is Moore Crescent.
So any area is not to go with practices.
I couldn't tell you, like, look at the maps, but in terms of the roads, pretty much all the roads, all the way through there are all within this schedule as prohibited areas.
Right, Otautu Bay, we're on page 78 now, Otautu. 79,
Put plenty of these.
Paparoa Shakespeare Cliff, Cooks Beach, Reserve Cooks Beach, and that's prohibited. Is that correct? Yeah. Page 80, Pawanui Boulevard, Pawanui, Port Jackson Road, Pottery Lane, Coromandel. Pungarangu Street, Kuatunu, Robinson Road, Whitianga, Sugarloaf Wharf, page 81. Page 82, Skippers Reserve at Pito Bay. Page 83, Tangitura Lane, Pawanui. Page 84, Tapu. Page 85, Terror Beachfront. Page 86, Terror Creek Reserve. Page 87, Tatahi Reserve to Hulu. Page 88, TCDC Office Car Park. Thames. Caro Bay, Sailors Grove Time Room.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
Takuma Road, Tamata North Reserve. Sorry, page 92, Takuru Beach Walkway, page 93, Takuru Boat Ramp, page 94, Takuru Creek Reserve, page 95, Titoki Reserve Whakatā, page 96, the Esplanade Road Council Land and Reserve for Te Anga, page 97, the Pines Matarangi West Reserve Matarangi, page 98, Village Green Reserve Kuatunga West, page 99, the Village Green Reserve Matarangi, page 100, Tutiala Road, including boat ramp, page 101, Waipa Tukahu, Point Reserve Tapu, page 102, Waiponga Reserve Puteri, page 103, Waititi Bay, Waterways Parade, Wainui, Whangamata Marina Reserve, Whangamata, Whamapau Wharf, Whamapā, Williams Ave, Coromandel, Woodruff Road, Waina Bay, Wynyard Street, Wharikaho, Waina Bay Road. Oh, now we're on to,
It's the end of schedule one.
that's it, schedule one's done, folks. We're making progress. So we've still got hard parts to come. And so, you know, it was a bit, so we're on schedule 2. This is where freedom camping is restricted permitted scenario.
Page 109, 108, 108, sorry, and we'll put the maps up for each one.
So we haven't quite, this is sort of general comments, and we're starting with, on page 109, Aiken Road Sports Reserve. And there's just a prescriptive change, plus the area was proposed restricted to a maximum of 4 vehicles. Are there any issues with this?
No issues.
Gary, you happy? Okay, so that's that one. 110 Brown Street, Thames. Robin and Martin. Complete. Okay, right, here's the big one. Here we go, Cooks Beach Central Reserve.
Can I have the map up of everything?
All right, yeah, Cooks Beach, please. In conjunction with this, one of the things that one of the things that would have been good, but you probably haven't got it on there, is West 50 Kurangi Road.
Somewhere else.
So my concern is that 50 Kurangi Road was given up as an option by many of the submissions raised by Cooks Beach submitters. And I can't see any reference to 50 Kurangi Road in the consideration. And so, and the reason for discounting it from being an opportunity site to what is a highly used and very valuable area to the community and highly congested during the peak periods, quite a long period of time. There's also another reserve at the end, which is the Purangi, I'm presuming calling it the Purangi Reserve.
So that analysis is further, you already went past it. It's, sorry, my page numbers have dropped off my document, but it's on the very first page that discusses schedule 2.
Right.
And under the heading suggestions for new areas and staff analysis.
Oh,
And that's where we
okay.
discussed there were 2 suggestions of Tuna Place and 50 Kurangi Road.
Didn't have vehicle access.
They don't have vehicle access, they're not suitable locations.
So they were not listed in the proposed bylaw that went up for public submission in sites that were raised through submissions.
Okay, so,
You can't put them in there.
well, because they were raised in the submissions, you can actually consider it because they have been referred to on plan. Not really, of course. You've said that there's no vehicle access at 50 Kurangi Road. So there is potential though for this to be considered as an alternative site in the future during during a reconsideration, because these will be reviewed at some point in the future.
With the hearing rate, the one they reckon was minimal earthquakes that was suitable.
Covered trees.
Sorry?
Trees, we've got some parks officers that have been out recently.
Oh, yes, Heather Bruce can speak to us.
Could I just take some advice from staff, but we're not or restricted bylaw. So by default, under the Freedom Camping Act, it's permitted what's going to.
Well, it is a reserve.
So what prohibits it is the Reserves Act and the Reserve Management Plan. So when unless we were going to include it as a restricted area in the bylaw, the change would have to be made to the
You have to amend the bylaw. You have to amend the bylaw.
If it comes under reserve, this part here comes under reserves act, right?
The 50 per day road is a reserve.
That comes under reserve.
Yes. It's currently prohibited freedom camping there under the reserve seat.
As it's to the face.
Still, do you know what's changed it?
Well, this issue I really came through around here to me with the submission process is where we define the number of vehicles, whether it be 1, 4 or whatever. The issue is that that's never adhered to, and we don't have the resource to manage that. So for me, when I get these things, unless we are going to be able to have people at these places day in and day out, to make sure that if we agreed to 4, that is what it is, and it's never any more. And if they turn up with this 12, and they say, well, you've got to go, because I can't, I'm drinking, then we say, well, that's all right, we're going to put you on the back of the tow truck and take you away at your cost, but since you can't drive. But if we can't guarantee the compliance, then for me, we restrict it.
Yeah, you can't guarantee compliance with any law in this country. I mean, it's illegal to smoke cannabis. You go around and find somebody smoking.
With respect, we can pass or not pass a bylaw because we might not be able to enforce it.
That's what just
Too many double negatives.
Yeah, but then if we.
I appreciate your point, but we can't do it.
But I say with respect to Burringy Road, and I've got Burringy first. If you go down there at any time, there is another shambles. We've put a couple of places there, might be 4, I can't remember, but it just gets logged in. So you actually needed to say nothing.
I agree. And so the dumping paper, people using the grass and the fences as the top point, like it's unacceptable if you live there. As nice as it might be.
So Cook's Beach is that it's not just this particular reserve and the Burringy Reserve considered together. And it may be that we have to, I actually think that we may have to consider prohibiting Burringy and just leaving this one, but I mean, getting rid of both.
Well, you know, this has been a problem for us for a long time.
Yes, it
And
has.
we've had it until now. So I know people go there, but when the thing is jammed full and the residents that live there have the photographs of everything in there, yeah, to me, you just can't avoid that. So for me, we should prohibit it. But that fixes it because there's no guarantee we can look after it.
So what about this? If we restrict it, can we then close it during the peak period?
So if I can just speak to the enforcement side very quickly, we do have the resource to patrol and we currently do. I think the discussion that we've had historically, this council has had an enforcement approach to self-containment, that if you're parked outside of the marked area or the number of vehicles, but you are self-contained, you were issued a warning, not an infringement. That was something that council made a decision prior to my time coming in. Burringy would be our most oversubscribed area. And we had a pilot the year before COVID where we changed some signage that basically indicated if you're outside of the marked area, you will be infringed. It was a change. We also worked with Camping Mate to put a camera in to assist. Now, I understand that made a difference and then COVID occurred, but certainly we can take approach. If we say 4 in that location, we can infringe the ones that are outside of that. That would be an enforcement decision, not a bylaw decision. That would be different, and we'd be making sure that our signage is really clear, which it isn't currently. Our signage on freedom camping is not clear around the enforcement consequences. Now, with the new bylaw, it will be. So we are already working on a project and Alice's team, and we've applied for some MB funding. So it'll be very clear for these priority sites that if you're outside of the four car parks, there'll be an infringement consequence. We do have the resource for staff to attend those sites every day, and they do. And certainly in summer they do. I've got, we have a GPS, a system that we work with our staff, which I can talk you through at another time, but our staff, every time they do a patrol in the morning, it has their officer's name, it GPS tracks where they are, so, you can't fudge that, it's date, time, stamp, you can take photos, it's got all the infringement numbers and the warning. So, as an example, 1 December 2019 to 31 January 2020, that's just before COVID, so that was our busiest period. In that 2-month period, we checked 7,000 vehicles, we issued 311 tickets, and we warned 462 vehicles. So those 462 will be self-contained vehicles parked outside of freedom camping locations. We infringe those, that would mean we'd basically just 700 vehicles of the 7,000 we checked in that 2-month period. Yeah, so that's the level of non-compliance that we're seeing. There are quieter sites that we won't be at every day, but certainly Purani is a site that we would be at every day. I'd been bringing it up like now and telling you.
So you just give a perfect reason for prohibiting it purring.
Yeah, and so the other thing that we'd say from a compliance perspective that we've got to understand in Vertical South, it is unique in that our most popular tourist destination is the Coromandel, Hotwood Beach and Cathedral Cove. This council prohibits from that settlement because of those reasons. And so there probably is a natural progression to, we find that those other sites in Mercury Bay South will be overpopulated because of that. Now, if you prohibit those, the question that the compliance team will be asking, where are those people going? Where do they go?
Well, then they can go into a campground.
Yeah.
Remember where I can't think of around a little bit.
Pardon?
It can't run a little bit.
So the new signage,
Connections Beach as well.
the signage that went up in Unagi actually worked the campgrounds, and on that sign it said that this was to paid campgrounds. Working with those campgrounds over periods, that peak period, they don't have that capacity for it, and also the issue is that some of these camps were turning up after office hours, but we do.
Well, I think we also should do another drive to seeing if there are private property owners who want to accommodate freedom campers on their properties.
Yeah, we get into a schedule other legislation.
I think we could.
Try that.
No, that's, what do you mean try this?
Yes, so freedom camping legislation applies.
You couldn't do private land in the bylaw. It's only applies to.
No, separate from the bylaw, we do it like to encourage private property owners to open up their properties to self-contained vehicles.
That's another issue.
But it was something that was taken up during Glenn's time, and for 1 or 2 properties, it was quite successful. Murray.
Well, I'm just thinking, looking at it realistically, we've got a very good camping ground, Beach, a very good camping ground, Beach. I don't see why these things would be festering sorts for decades that I know of. Prohibit them both, I think. And we're listening to the ratepayers.
Because the issue is, if you're allowed, let's say, hopefully you're allowed 4. When the enforcement guy turns up, there's 24. And they say, well, we're all wasted, so none of us can drive. So say, right, well, there goes your ticket that you're out tomorrow morning. Hasn't taken the problem away if you happen to live there. So for me, it's the enforcement is one thing, but it doesn't actually fix the problem. So for me, I prohibit it.
So where are they going to go? Tony?
Camping grounds.
Or they go to the owner. They've got a full paddock.
Well,
They've got a dedicated paddock and hoppers.
Used to have hundreds of them.
Well,
Nowhere in the world, we're only offering 12. Yeah, but hang on, nowhere in the world can you go on freedom camp like you can to this country.
Well, I'm not saying that.
It's
Part
not
of New Zealand's
free.
history.
There's a history from 2011, the road for a car.
Not free.
So simply,
But there ain't reasons. Well, I was someone living in one of these places, to get a lot more on the issue. It's simply not right.
Okay, well, look, do you guys want to put up a,
I'll move it that we turn that into a prohibited area.
for the reasons.
Both of them, and I'll think of it.
Both of you doing the speech,
Central Reserve.
Burying it,
both reserves.
Start with the speech.
Yeah.
This one
And we
and
go with the one that's on screen. So we've got the conversation of the Central Reserve.
and through range.
Be moved from the restricted, from Schedule 2 to Schedule 1.
Yeah, prohibited.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the mitigating circumstances, there are two camping grounds within close
So
proximity.
that's not a criteria we can consider. So I think if we're going to make that.
Congestion, access.
If the council makes that decision, you need to be looking at the criteria. Yeah.
We need to have a look at the criteria that we've
At
got
the moment,
there.
the score is 4.
And I actually think it's been underscored, given the huge amount of complaints about the desiccation, the effects on the environment,
So
the effects on amenity, and the effects on access.
So if we take them one by one, if we're looking at per name scores, that we can bring those up.
Can we-
This is called speech.
Speech
Well,
sensitive.
let's start with
First,
speech
is in
central.
conflict control, yeah.
So currently the,
Yeah, so that's, just
Score.
scroll up the one page here, Ari, and I'll show you the scores, so it's sort of scales the 2 pages. So that scores, that start as area 1, which is no concerns, health and safety 1, no concerns, and access 2, which is some concerns. So, so it need to be this in, it's free to change it.
We did have people saying that because on the corner, that's issues about people backing out and forward, so the health and safety could go from 1 to 3.
Definitely through.
so
And look, in the summer period, it's 4+ because of the congestion.
so
Once
that's.
they start going to the beach, it's all over.
So health and safety being moved from about, the score would be reassessed from 1 to 4.
And the justifications on the feedback about turning access, it's, who pointed that out? Martin, yeah.
Based on.
You did very well,
I think.
pointing out the access issues.
From the feedback.
Health and safety 4, area score, okay, that's fine.
Variance is at 1,
Joseph?
access.
3. Actually, access is a 4. It's a really, access is a big issue. Because if it's Friday, everybody goes down to Boorangi, because it's a safer environment.
We're at Central Reserve. So
Is it Central
Oh,
Reserve?
Central Reserve, well, see, that's, you've got that big, beautiful open amenity playing area, which people start parking all over, it becomes difficult.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to get on there, this,
that's the, you're.
It's whole, so they're congested elsewhere.
Central Reserve.
It's not a huge amount of parking in there.
Access could be increased because there's.
Look, 3, just saying, 3 is access at Central.
Okay. So
4, 4 and 1, 9.
well, I think access potentially is the bigger of some that we're hearing that is use of boat trail parking.
Yeah.
Which of the beach, is that what we're hearing? And is it one of the main locations to park vehicles to access the beach? And there's
Conflicts of use.
conflicts of use, which is going to be access, which is.
And health and safety.
a couple of, yeah, kind of comes under both health and safety and access, yeah.
So a couple of 4s and a 1 gives it a 9.
Is that good? I'm writing it down. So
Yeah.
Yeah, been moved, Tony, seconded, Murray, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried.
Yes.
So I only get about 25 minutes, I'm just going to go I have an appointment.
When you want to go, now?
Yeah,
Yeah, you've got a forum.
yeah, you got a call, I'll be back.
No issues that you want to raise?
No,
We'll be talking about Little Bay.
well, you've put up a point for me.
Yeah, well, bloody oath, I will.
Page.
Unlimited there.
Okay, so we're on to currently reserve. Any issues there, folks, on page?
Tony and I were just wondering, this. It's a big reserve. We could actually say we could put 5 there instead of 3. For Peter Cook's beach and just say we've looked at it, we have looked at it and we've said we can accommodate more there, it's all one way.
What reserve we're talking about?
All that correlate and saying it's a big area. We could actually say, well, it just demonstrates we have looked at it, when we can put an extra couple, we can put an extra couple.
Page 113, program, increase 5.
I just,
In consideration of the shutdown at Cook.
So that's the one on the southern end of the bridge, yeah?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
And there's a campground near there too,
Okay,
because that gets campground about 5 kilometres down the road.
yeah, I know.
It is health and safety, water, and rights as well, but that's their problem.
Okay, everybody happy with that?
So can present to 5?
Yeah.
Correct.
That's a very good concession. So, okay, we've changed that because it's a change, then I'm happy to move it. So,
Yep.
second it, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried, good, that's fine. So, Corrigan Reserve, that's done. We now got Danby Field Car Park, you happy with that, Thames? That's on page 114, 115, Egan's Reserve, Clonrama.
How many has Danby Field currently got? 20. 20, okay. So it's going to stay at 20.
Now, we're going to have this discussion, it says in here, in a designated place in the north side of the car park. We wondered whether it meant the west side of the car park, because the car park runs from north to south. So you mean the side that's not immediately adjacent to Queen Street?
I guess.
Okay, well,
Well, there's no, like, I'm just trying to get it in my head, it's like north, south.
It's line up against the river.
There's only one entrance, so it's just, yeah.
yes, there is only one entrance, but as it is, it says the north side of the car park, which.
But yeah, that's
Okay,
good.
everybody is-
We'll get that out. The entrance is on the south end of the car park.
There we go.
No, it's fine.
So, yes, so
Yeah,
the
so-
wording, that's on the western side.
Just
The wording
on the
is
western
on the north side.
Yes. So
It's the only thing. So-
that's another amendment. So the description of the designated place will be changed to read the area in the west side, not the north.
West side of the car park. Don't need to mention north at all, because north would put everybody up on citizens.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
It's probably.
Okay, Whangamata, 116, information to car park, Whangamata.
That Egan's.
Egan's Reserve,
Oh, sorry, do I just, sorry, speak
the
up.
lines that it stays restricted. Am I reading it right?
Yes, it's a restricted area.
Perfect, perfect, but you're still on there at night.
Oh, no, that means it's permitted.
But
It means free camping is.
did you say freedom of camping is permitted in Egan's Reserve?
That's what restricted means when it's a reserve.
No, we don't want it, we don't want it there.
So, I mean, Gavin Buchanan and gave a really good presentation about the security that having campers there. You know, if you've got campers there parked, you're not going to get people doing burnouts in their hot rods. Whatever you do burnouts.
It is widely used by all sorts of people down there.
With the various kids.
Well, no, a lot of them, maybe half of us.
But a lot of people there, like, a lot of people go there just simply take their dogs and stuff, and fresh water, so. And it's not an easy place to get into, like, from an enforcement point of view.
Right.
Egan's is, that's why we go there, because no one goes and checks up on
It
it.
goes up to wings up there, there's all sorts of things up there over the years.
So,
I support it, but fix the code.
I wasn't kept up on the Egan's Reserve.
So again, just pulling us back to the criteria.
we just leave it as it is.
Yes. I'm comfortable where it, how it is, this ordinance, there is touch on.
Okay, so, yes,
So Egan's Reserve will keep.
That's
so it's under watch. We can, if it gets out of hand, we can shut it. Under that provision, that we've got special provision in the bylaw for any reason. Information centre car park, Whangamata, page 116. Nothing there. Island View Car Reserve on town page 117.
So you've, suggested 4 in the current position. The community boards approved the building of a construction of a new area, adjacent to that, which we will hopefully look at in the future. How does that work? Do we just
Apply and change the position?
the location?
Yeah, that would have to be done after the new car park is done. You can't assess it before
Yeah.
it's done.
So we're just talking about the existing position.
Talking about the existing car.
Which is very, very
Yeah.
difficult.
So
Okay,
sort of interesting that this community was consultation and the majority don't support it, and the minority do. And we head down and support the minority.
Well, certainly it's a very popular and busy place.
I understand that.
and that's why we want to move it. The whole idea is to take them out of there and put them in a better location so that car parking can make the people, but it's,
What do you do?
I know it was loud and clear, like it was, to me, that was one of the, from a submission point of view,
Ultimately, we are the decision making, but it wouldn't be unprecedented, I think, mollusks at a Peter Bay. We have very strongly that the community want to keep looking at anyway, so I think that we can make decisions.
I don't disagree.
So what's the view from relieving the 4 car parks in Island View? Everybody happy with that?
It's a difficult one because it's become incredibly popular beach, not just for the people around it, but people walk through because the surf's not as big there as it is in the main beach. And that's why it's so popular with the young kids and everything. And it's good to have parking really for cars. And just don't go talking of extending, but it really does make people feel a bit uncomfortable having big camper vans and people can't even get a park.
Well, remember, we can close it temporarily. In the peak period, if it becomes too congested and they're becoming a problem, can we shut it?
We can only go back to those 4 reasons that were in the bylaw, and I would be saying that we won't operation. I don't see us every year just closing our frequent camping locations. If that seems to be the point raised in every location, and that's not going to be the case. It's going to be where there's work going on. Like we're going to upgrade a car park, great. We're going to close it and frequent camping because we're upgrading it. I don't think it's going to be.
we're going to build a new car park, so it's not going to affect it.
But you're saying that the plans during the peak period, and there are little unique peak periods where the population flows in.
But you can't close it, and that's when everyone comes to enjoy it.
No, we were talking about.
Well,
Yeah, I'm
that's
saying
the
I don't-
problem too.
I don't
Everybody
see-
comes to enjoy it and then you let 4 people, well, it might be 2 per car, per camper van, you let 4 camper vans have priority.
Well, they don't, they come in at 6 o'clock.
And we're going to go by 9.
Well, that's what you do.
Which land do you live in?
During the day, during the day, you can't come and go.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, Robin. Well, yes, you can prohibit it and you can tell them not to park there overnight. And there's absolutely nothing that you can do to stop the parking there during the day. So,
That's right.
you know, whether you're shipping them
Like,
out.
20 of them along there, you can't stop
Yeah.
them.
Can't stop them. So,
That's why you want to move them off that
I'll be
area.
waiting here with my ticket counter and my till. Anyway,
But they can drive.
okay, so we're leaving Island View. No change to Island View. Moving right along, 120, Kapanga Road Car Park, Coromandel, no change. 121, Lees Street Car Park, Whitianga.
That's right.
No change. Little Bay Reserve. Wow. Boy, have I got a deal for you. So, Little Bay Reserve, health and safety, you've got it 1 and access at 1. I can't believe. What a pop of map up.
Little Bay.
I can't believe. It's the most shocking spot to have freedom campers. That has got to be one of the most vulnerable fire risks in this district. And we are allowing freedom camping down there. And access, there's only 1 road in and out for the whole population. Already they transgress. I've got a file about that, where I had one. I think it might be, I might have tested more. But
And that's the basically the helicopter lands in, yeah.
But hang on, you've got to look at that, and it's misleading in that half that pink is bush. All right, so you're not really getting the car park area you think you're getting. And that is hugely popular. But half that area is bush, so you aren't getting the parking spaces. Fire risk in the summer period is huge. Access is a real problem. You only have to drive there to notice that. And I've been there a number of times for the ratepayers meetings. It's hugely congested during the summer period and any time there's fine weather for fishing, because you've got vehicles and trailers where you know how they congest a place pretty jolly quickly. Tractors, there's quite a lot of tractors, of course, but they park on the beachfront, thank goodness, at least they've got somewhere else to go. So I just feel you've seriously underestimated the health and safety category and the access category.
It's during the day, what about at night?
And the floor and fauna at night, when you
You
get.
can afford to answer it.
Become,
You can afford to answer it.
I can only imagine. But I seriously want to look and say, it's a prohibited place. It's been hugely contentious. We've had nothing but complaints from there. Martin, it's the most difficult to enforce, Martin.
So I think, yeah, I think Leslie might just have been about to say, so it started off with 1, 1 and 1, but then staff had suggested it could be 3, 2 and 1, which only takes us to 6. And these are numbers.
Well, you don't. Health and safety is a 4. Access is, health and safety is a 3 or a 4 and access is a 3 or a 4. And what's the other provision?
The number of.
Area.
So,
Seriously, and the locals have all voted against having freedom of campus there.
It looks like there's 10 for and 11 against. So 10 of them like it and 11 don't. So that's pretty even.
So I just think, I mean, Little Bay is just.
So what's the health and safety there though? Explain how it's been accidents.
Fire's a big risk. The houses are all built with the bush on top of them.
I'm surprised we considered half of them.
But you can't stop people from planting out their section.
I don't get what I'm saying. I've always wondered how we built the houses there, it's that bad. From a fire to
Circling back.
fire has there, they're gone.
Yeah, they are.
I was saying you will not
It's a
get
bit
a
like-
client, you will not get a client in there.
I don't want to be here till midnight, Tony.
Yeah.
I don't mind, I don't.
Seriously, the fire risk at Little Bay over a summer period, and remember, the summer period is a long period, it's a dry period, fire risk is high, access is difficult, it's incredibly congested over the summer, you've got all these points, and yet that's not reflected at all in the numbers. Can't believe it.
Brian, did you have something to say?
Look, I was just going to say that one of the issues that Councillor Golding's raised it correctly is that the tool is subjective and we run into the risk of us arbitrarily applying numbers to things. So Cook's Beach Central is difficult because I think it has always been prohibited in that location. So I don't have a bunch of evidence. It is just very much people's opinion of access in there and health and safety and the like. Little Bay, all I can provide is from a staff perspective. The time, it is hard to get up there. You're correct. The times that we're up there, we aren't seeing in terms of the early hours of the morning camping activity, large numbers of vehicles. We haven't had any evidence provided to us about that health and safety issues with fire risk. So there's not much I can add from a compliance perspective to the conversation other than just to say that the tool itself is subjective. And the issue is that we start applying things like a 4 and we go back and start looking at that to View or Williamson Park or Buffalo Beach.
The tool is as good as the evidence we've got to support.
Correct. So staff can only provide what they have. Same thing as Cook's Beach Central. We've given you our opinion based on our assessment.
And then you've got a couple of.
But I'm giving you my opinion based on my visit there and my understanding of the area and the risks that they actually do exist. And it's a bit like a purgery. A purgery, I mean, they won't I mean, everybody's very aware that the fire service have said they won't go in if there's a fire and those fires on the beach in February, because the fire risk is that great that the actual risk of trying to find it and put it out is too great to be careful.
If it's starting with the reserves, this side of the bridge, not that side. It's not over in the pine forest, it's this side. So it's.
I'm not talking about the you reserve here, I'm just saying I'm just giving an example of an elevated fire risk, where the fire risk is so
But
great.
that's in the park.
Yes, that's right, but the fire will go to sea, they won't go in there, there's people that actually live in there.
No, so this is not where the reserves are for free campers.
So,
If I can add that, for,
It's a little vague.
for a quarterly,
yeah, that's an example of the road.
and as a staff, the border has always been restricted, we recommend and support the submissions for it to be prohibited, because we had the staff here say, when we've been there, it has been, oversubscribed, there have been activities in that location that would cause us concern.
When we meet on the bus trip, one of the few things we did together, and went to Little Bay, so we have Paul and Mark were excited about that one down just salt water. That was the very thing that was spoken about there. Look at the access, look at the enterprise, look at the forest, the bush. Look at the potential risk if something happens in here. But one way in and one way out, and they probably won't get out of the building, so that was discussed.
So I'm going to move that Little Bay be prohibited. Do I have a seconder?
Any further discussion? Can I just repeat this for us? I didn't get them down on the talk.
So for health and safety, it's currently one.
No, two, staff reassessed.
Sorry.
We're saying that
I'm reassessing it at 3. Okay, so you're going to.
I heard you say 4.
Well, I would have gone to 4 because of fire risk and access, fire risk and access. And also potable water is an issue there.
As I said, to 4, and then you had, we left access at 1, but you're saying access, which is a fairly fair point, because it's the car park that accesses the beach, so it's probably not 1.
So the access score will be.
2.
No, I've got 3.
3.
Absolutely, because on a good fishing day, as I've said.
So that gives a total of 10.
And apart from that, the key thing is, while you've identified all that area in pink, half of that area is bush.
Oh, yes, I do.
And then part of that is
It's
also
like-
our own land.
They're not camping on the pink area, only in the little blue square.
We assessed it for the car park, and it's not.
No, but actual car parking overall isn't that great.
And so that leads to your argument of access.
Yeah, and that's where the bush, covering the bush with pink is misleading about the area you've got in which to park.
It's from the legal.
Plus there's the massive, Robin's just pointed out, the massive dock campground just down the road.
That's right.
Just so to make sure I've got it correct. So the rescore that is proposed is that the area score will be 3, the health and safety score will be 4, and the access score will be 3, and the total of 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really fairly reflects Little Bay, to be quite honest.
And that this reserve will be moved from schedule 2 to schedule 1.
Change to
Yes, please.
Yep.
And it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Right, so now we're moving on to, thank you very much, Secretary, I appreciate your work on that one. Members, read Kim, fine, so on page 1, 2, 4.
You don't have to put it up on the screen.
It's just right there.
Okay, you're doing good, everybody, you're doing good. Right, 125 Ocean Beach, South End, Pawanui. That's where they are currently, and I think that's where they're wanting them to stay.
Did you get any comments? We don't have any comments on the
we've got
rolling club car park.
Page 1,
Apologies, I shouldn't have said that, sorry.
page 126. And Hina Drive, Trailer Park, and Pito Bay.
Prohibited. We discussed umpteen times about campers going over those hills and all this, but not suitable. It should have got a score of, what, 8, isn't it?
Page 126, folks,
Yeah.
yeah, it's 4 of 8.
Well, I
Yes, it's quite high. Yeah, it's on the edge of staying prohibited.
Well, I think you'd take exits of 4, and I think if you take the area logging and that's not suitable, then you can add another area 3 and access another 1, so you can add 4 to that, 3 to that, you may have less.
So the area score is about the
Area
the
3
significance of the
of the
land, like,
land.
yeah, the significance of it.
Because you got that road and all the rest of it getting right over 4, that makes it 11, I'd approve it a lot.
So you're moving that, Murray?
Yeah, I'm moving that way.
Seconded, Tony, any further
Just give me
discussion?
a catch up, sorry. So area score stays the same, or change?
Yeah. Access to.
That's what we're doing right now. Okay.
You're doing good, team, we're just about through, you realise?
Are we?
So it'll be, the area score stays with 1, health and safety.
You can take 4 for each of them.
Oh, sorry, apologies.
That's easier, you take 4 for each of them, because of the land, because there's access.
So what is the 4 for the area? Because from the
Well, you can
information
sort of
we
read
have, it's
submission,
not a
soggy and
significant sum.
flooding.
No, that's not the area. That will be for health and safety. So the area score, sorry, I might not have gone into enough detail about that in the introduction. The area score is about the qualities and the nature of the area that need protecting. So if there's significant flora and fauna there, or, or archaeological sites or what you don't do, those sort of things. That's what the area score. Yeah. So this doesn't seem to have any significant sites for that. So the issues about bogginess, go to health and safety.
But you could tag that for problems with access over the Blackjack Hill too, because that's always come up.
So you've got about a 333, really?
Yeah. Well, 334, access on the.
Yeah.
Well, why would you?
The area score would be 3, there's
Couldn't be
nothing
three,
there.
there's nothing there.
It's just flat grass. There's no heat.
So health and safety.
It's only flora and fauna in the semester.
And access into 4, 5.
So the health and safety goes to a 4.
I think we already have it at 4, am I hearing that's 144?
Can I just, sorry, Murray did mention that there were submissions about flora and fauna.
It's in the semester.
Not significant,
Not
just significant, just the vehicles damage them, that's not as
I
significant.
think it's grass.
Just for us.
So
That's really important for holding your topography.
So that's why those issues go into scoring for health and safety or access, because it's not that the area itself is significance, but then the impact that, people going there has is for health and safety and access. So what I have recorded here is that the area score remains at 1, the health and safety score goes up to 4, and the access score goes up to 4, giving a total of 9.
Yep.
Thank you.
And it's been moved and seconded to be
We will be
prohibited
moved to prohibited.
and go back into schedule 1. And is there any further discussion? There being none, put the resolution, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Okay. Moving right on, folks, we now back to page 128, O'Mara Reserve Matarangi. Page 129, Onumana Beach Reserve.
Yes, well, this is interesting. You can refer to the submissions, 623 to 628, 6230. And I saw Gary Kelly at the story and I did a bit of tackle. And what happened was, because it was deemed that it was so unsafe, they changed it from 2014 to 2016. As he says in there in page 629, that there was following some significant feedback that they could do it within a community board resolution. And they changed it from that area to the other one. And you probably heard when I put to the person, has it gotten better with the toilet there? It's got even worse. And Terry was part of when they changed it. So they changed it from what it was 2014 to 2016 to be that other part that's there on the side. And that was that was what went with the resolution that happened in 2016 when they changed it.
So they're looking to re-site it again up the road into another reserve.
Well, they are talking about that, but they can take a little bit of work. The one thing that, if you really wanted to have a place to make, have a problem with it, you continue going only Mana Drive, I'll take it off the right place, you go right up the top, and there's that huge, beautiful view. You can park
It's one, it's one.
and the only problem is that walking down the hill, but they just have to get in and drive down, get the stuff and park up again, but that's something you don't have to do anything to, it's already good to go, and they were all happy with that, but they seem to think the other spot would be better for people long term doing it, but it's going to cost money to get a digger in and do various things, so I'm talking of a temporary thing. So you can go up the top of the, is that what it's called, top down?
Yeah. So just to point out that, well, to point out, I don't know the stats of it, but the car park itself isn't in the bylaw, so that would be a permitted location in the bylaw. I don't know what the reserve status would be that.
Sorry, where's the car?
It's the car park, it's really here, it's here, come up, you should come up there, we're here, it's here.
It's permitted already, it's on the road.
And that is,
People can freely take their.
oh, well, yes, we'll just get rid of the other one because it's just so congested there, and with the new toilet and everything. I just think that the fact that they changed the resolution of the friendly bylaw to another one because it's completely inappropriate. It's got worse, so we just delete that one, the proposal.
Can we just move the location? Is that okay?
Well,
No, so the area that was, the view that indicated is, appears to be part of the road reserve and therefore it's already permitted, so you can camp there anyway. So you don't have to do anything. People can camp there now.
so they've got something they can get.
So this, what we're looking at in terms of the bylaw is this, because there is the reserve. The reserve is the whole pink area. It's a very large reserve. But the only place that we recommend that people be allowed to bring the camp is that small blue area, which is actually on the grass. Beside a kind of pool area. I wouldn't call it a car park, it's more of a pool.
It was our the car park, we built the toilets and turned it into a bus stop for the kids as well. Moving to the right was really a temporary thing until I think up the top of the hill.
So you guys happy with that? Anyway,
Happy with.
why don't we move on?
We need to do a score.
Trying to understand, so you want it to be prohibited,
Yeah.
and we need to reassess this.
Yeah, this one has not got any numbers, because it was a restricted area in the 2014 bylaw. And so it was, we didn't rescore it based on what was done in 2014. So it doesn't currently have any scores at all, just.
Doesn't have a number score.
But it doesn't have
Is
numbers.
not.
The main reason last time that they lost the potential problem.
So we can just say, for the resolution, councillors thought for health and safety reasons.
Yeah.
This should be prohibited, yeah.
Thank you.
So change to prohibited for reasons of health and safety.
Yeah.
So do we remove that?
I'll have them move.
So we don't want to do a score for it.
It doesn't need to have a score, would be good if it did, but it doesn't need to, doesn't have one at the moment.
I'll second.
Actually, should we score that?
I'm just looking at, I don't know if consistency is what we've been doing with that, all of the other locations. Everything that is currently prohibited and restricted on score, except for this one.
No, the ones that were assessed in 2014, when we went back and looked at them, if nothing had changed for the site.
We just proposed
we
it.
just-
We're looking to change it.
Well, we could, we would.
Right, we're looking to make it prohibited now.
Yeah, we need to.
So,
correct.
Yeah.
so in terms of what we've done with the other stuff,
Yeah, it would be useful to score it now.
Yeah. which what we're hearing is it's probably a one for area because it's just a flat car park.
No, but that's what you've done on the grass area, and that's not going to be easy. It's pretty uneven all around there.
Yeah.
It's not the area, the area is just.
What we're hearing is probably similar to the one we previously did. That's one for and for health and safety, we've got things like it's kids bus stop.
That's well, and access to it because it's right on the corner, so.
Yes, health and safety reasons.
Actually, very dangerous, good one, people get fired on.
So that's, yeah.
It definitely will.
And-
Conflict of use.
And then conflict
And
of
then
use.
access.
Yes, access will be conflict of use too. It's the small car park that provides beach access, toilets.
Is a disabled toilet, yeah, a disabled toilet in a bus stop.
What, 10 hours? Yeah.
Only 6 people can go.
Area one, health and safety for
Access for 509.
So you want me, when you move.
Yes, so
But
then,
you need to put the motion.
I put the motion. Who's going to make the motion?
Yeah.
Just shouldn't have waited.
So who's doing the motion?
It's been moved and seconded.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll put the motion, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried, thank you. Okay, so that's the only one of each reserved. There's only 17 to go, folks, and we won't be litigating all of them.
Pleasant point.
Pleasant Point, Powanoe.
Yeah, so I really would like to speak in support of prohibiting this. You had the submissions, there was one submission with 40 signatures on it, it was done in December submissions that came back through from the Pauanui Lake Coast Association. This is going to be so busy with boat trailers and usage that it doesn't warrant any overnight parking.
So you've got, area for a score of 1.
Yeah.
Well, it floods, doesn't it?
no, so the scoring is for the designated place, so sorry, when you've got a chance, if you could, amend.
So Deputy Health and Safety is a 4 and access is a 4 because it's incredibly contested. It's your boat launch,
Yeah.
it's everything. So it's 441, which gives it a 9, so it justifies prohibited.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
the score is not for the part of the reserve though. So this is that's this massive reserve, the boat launching and things are all down the weekend. I need this.
Yeah.
It's just it's going to be too busy, completely too busy.
Again,
You've had a really clear indication from the community and from the ratepayers with submissions.
yeah. So again, the split between the daytime use of people going out in their boats and trailers and people running around and children and that sort of thing versus the nighttime use of people just parking there. Can we please address that? Because, you know, when, I forgot the name, unfortunately, the Pauanui guy, Bob Renton came and sat down and I asked him that. And he didn't have a clear answer as to why there's, he couldn't see the separation between the nighttime activities and the daytime.
But you raised that issue, you answered your own question.
Yes.
You said there's nothing to stop them from parking during the day.
And there's no way there, there's
Exactly what they do.
But these fishermen are coming in at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. So when these people are there, it does not work for them and they've asked specifically.
So they come when they're very sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And an important consideration for me as well is where else in Pauanui can they go?
No, but it's still other places they
South
can.
End.
There are other places.
Yeah, four of them. And
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
So what's the decision?
144.
144.
And is there somebody who's?
He moved to us.
Based
Move to prohibited.
on the feedback on the submissions.
Thank you.
Very good.
Okay, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried, thank you. Rightio, Brewing and Reserve, we've already dealt with that, haven't we?
No, we haven't.
I thought we moved.
It came up, but we didn't actually record any decision.
I thought, okay, right, yeah.
We voted on this one.
No, that was Cook's Beach Reserve, it's a different.
That was Central Reserve, we included Brewing, but we'll do it again. So it's
I'll leave it prohibited.
prohibited and it's a 3, access would be a 3, so it's 333. As your school.
Area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the area's got 3 here.
Right.
That's health and safety, like, definitely can be a 4. Well,
I'm going
health and safety, about health, what goes on in there. There's no
Okay.
health and safety.
Okay, then make it, if you want to, actually area 3 though too as well.
The area sport currently is a 3.
Yeah, so it's 3, you want 4 for health and safety and 4 for access?
Oh, okay. health and safety fixture, I think is a very high one there, but I'm with it. Just keep so.
What about access? 3 or 4?
Well, it's at least the three.
Yeah, okay. We'll go 3, 4, 3.
No, that makes a total of 10.
So it's, so therefore, who's moving it?
I moved it.
Red Murray, seconded Tony, prohibited back in schedule 1, 3, 4, 3 support. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against?
No, you said you were saying.
Just like the Bolton roads, car park 10s, everybody happy with that? Royal Valley Point and Tarek K. Karaka Reserve, how am I doing?
Yeah, happy with that.
Okay, upper south east corner car park. Was that okay with you? Hang on, we'll see. Okay, Sandy Bay Recreation Reserve, we dealt with ourselves.
Yes, so that everyone has agreed that that's deleted from the bylaw.
Yeah, okay, Tangy Minor is going to Reserve Tyra.
Yep, no problem.
Terror Beachfront North Reserve, do you still want it there, guys?
Yep.
Okay, that's all right. I don't think it should be, but still, Terror Cultural Arts Centre, that's already been sorted out.
Yeah, it's to be deleted.
TCDC Rebate Area Office Car Park, 50 Young,
All right.
that's okay. Seems to work all right, Tui Terrace and Wolf Road, Tyra. Everybody okay with that? Waikowhai South Reserve. Waikowhai South Reserve, okay, oh yeah, that's fine. Oh, yeah, I know one.
It's, yeah, it's
It's
not as,
hugely popular.
it's quite, no, it's quite, it's, this, I don't think it's the small one.
It doesn't get in the way.
And that's,
Wyoming Domain Reserve, everybody happy with that? Page 146, 147. Waitoko Stream, Graham's Creek.
Graham's Creek, yep.
Okay, Whamapā Car Park, part of Tangiora Avenue, Whamapā.
that's no change. Then.
Whittle Reserve, no change, Coral, Kabarama.
Whittle Reserve, all we're doing here is just being a bit more specific about where exactly in this gravelled area they can park, so just identify them a bit more specifically.
Last 2, and then we're going to go back to Beach Road for Terry and 1 for, one see.
We're open now, but we've already had it, so we don't have to worry about it.
Oh, yeah, Williamson Park, Whamata.
Could you bring that up on the screen, please?
Yep, the map.
The map, yes, please.
Yeah.
Now, what we do property of that is access.
We'll put 50 in there.
And I'll show you if you like have a look.
Come on, Gary, be nice.
Just because you're nearing the end of the trail.
That's the overflow part.
Sorry, I'm just getting to the right.
My role was to like say, from the park, I can tell you the boats and everything that come in.
I think it's very fast.
No, we won't, that's right at the end.
Oh, wait, what are we doing?
That's not what area under the surfboard.
Yeah. It's just a little space.
The road here is, you can see, the road comes in, it's made a bit bigger.
Yeah.
I'll come in here, you can see that, the road, that's the surface.
Yeah, but we can't carry
The road comes in and goes round, hooks around there. Now, that there, I've looked, I've struggled to see that there's a barbecue area. It's moved that in relation to the barbecue area because.
That's car park in front of the barbecue. Barbecue's up towards you.
No, I know the area well. The barbecue area is there. This is way back in. And if you look at this road, you can see the vehicles coming around. I just find it's going to be so hard with vehicles riding out. It's a very, very busy road and it's actually used for public walking access because they never put a footpath in there, they leave the place up. And it's used with people pushing prams and all sorts of things. And if you're having vehicles and all the stuff coming into the surf club, it really is an access problem. That's what worries me about it. And as far as I'm concerned,
Because don't forget, they're still allowed to go into the car park at the marina.
yeah, Well, no, that's not bad. This goes all around that, this is, parking here for the places. But, it's coming, it's circular use, and they come out and, oh, I tell you, it's just chaotic with traffic.
I'll put it on.
I absolutely agree. I'm really disappointed that the Parliamentarian didn't identify a large space that could be predominantly used for these self-contained vehicles in the back paddock somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed that you didn't just get out a big map.
It's not about that.
I disagree. Marion's place would have been ideal.
All I'm saying is, I see it as a real access problem, because.
I agree.
And it's so busy, I'm not joking, it's so busy. And when things are on, it's going to be summertime. That's why the commissioner said this place should not have anything, it has to have free public access during the peak period.
Well, okay, Gary, so we know the criteria in order to get one of these designations as appropriate, so we'll do the criteria to see what we come up with. Yes.
Well, access would be one of the big ones. And I suppose tying up with access to the health and safety thing, because that's where the rescues come in, the surf club and everything, and the ambulances come up 3 or 4 days. And there's normally often an ambulance parked there.
Yep, so here's the criteria.
Yeah, so the current score, listed below is really the area of the one, the health and one cases.
So we three,
Yeah, health and safety, yeah.
Gary, I couldn't see
Access street.
anything when you were referring on the screen because I could only see your back, so I wasn't aware of exactly where you were. Yeah, but it looked to me when I looked at the bottom, there's a very big pink square and then there's a tiny little blue square, and so I can't, I'm struggling to see how 3 vehicles parked there would need access to the.
Well,
So it looks like it's clear off the road.
It's very misleading about the amount of area available.
it's not a very wide road.
Yes, it's clear of the road.
And you go up around there,
Yeah,
and here, that's where the surf, people hide their boats.
yes,
They take up all of the area there, they're backing in and out all the time.
yes.
And what you have is you have people coming all from the surf club, all from, as I say, there's no, once you get in here, you've got to push your prams and wheelchairs and things have to come this way, because they were going to put in a public access pathway, but they ran out of money.
I think the surf club had access from whatever road.
You can go to the other road, yes, but you can't get boats and trailers in there. You can only get them in this way, and you go around left up there.
So Gary, you need to declare that you're a member of the surplus.
I did say that I'm here. Yeah, I'm an active member of it, that's why I know the problems we have. And
So what are the rescue they're talking about? How many rescues a year? That's 300.
I'm huge, man, I just see the figures, I can't remember what's to be accurate,
You're
but.
talking the top beach in New Zealand.
Yeah,
And what we.
so you, when you talk about rescues, you talk about, there's a helicopter land there with the.
Sorry?
There's the helicopter land there with the.
But the ambulances come, well, sometimes there's 1 or 2 ambulances that's there. And we got St John's people, and the amount, we've got a first aid room there, and they're just bringing them up all the time. Yeah. People that smash their heads with blades and all sorts of stuff, and getting access to.
And they would go through the park rather than use the road that accesses.
Yeah.
The ambulance has to come that way, because the surf club's got the stuff on the side, and that's where they just park there, and they bring.
But they don't drive on the grass area.
No,
No. No, so that's not.
No, I'm not convinced by your argument.
I think
but thank you
it's
for it.
far enough away.
Yeah, it's not far away.
Well, I can tell you, I think, I'll move that, you're the second period.
Yeah, I think it's a very busy park,
And there's
limited access.
one in, one out.
You know, there's more submissions for it than against.
I was just going to look to ask that thing.
But I'm reluctant.
It's a very large area and, yeah. Nobody really gave me good reasons. Most of them just sort of said more people should be allowed to go there.
Well, that's what more people, but not camper vans.
Yes, more campers, that's what people said.
I know, but that's camper.
What's the camper van is going to say that?
Yeah, I know
Because
that.
they are parking out free.
That wasn't from the
They
European
love parking
Association.
out free in the most iconic spot in every town. If you stack them in a back paddock somewhere, they might not be so enthusiastic, but at least it's realistic and it's allowing everybody to have a drink in it. Martin,
Part of the staff analysis does say they recommend that stay at 3 until monitoring can gather data about whether the number could be considered.
Because this is the currently freedom camping, because this is a reserve, currently freedom camping is prohibited in this location. So the proposal here is that this would be a new freedom camping area, restricted to 3 vehicles for now, because it is new and would need to monitor to see what impacts there are. But again, just remind what Brian sort of said earlier, based on the evidence that staff currently, yes, this is a busy park during the daytime, but not so much at night, and particularly not in that area that's proposed to our thinking.
Well, it's the busiest place for young people in Palmer, we know it's the publicity.
And it does have a few night events too.
well, who's moving it and who's seconding it?
I moved it to a second.
So you're moving the area score is 1, the health and safety score is 3, and the access score is, I'm sorry, I didn't get that one.
Probably 3 or 4 for
But
every.
it's currently prohibited, they can't just, if it's status quo.
Yes, but again, because it's being proposed as a restricted site, you need to have some reasoning in the decision about why you would change that.
Well, access is a difficult one for sure.
I was gonna say there's 3 accesses.
The other is that it interrupts with night events, I suppose.
I think I was gonna say it could be a 4.
It's a big one.
4,000
Big one.
teenagers around the camper vans.
It's on the boundary.
Unless the police have.
But it doesn't affect us, we've got trees and everything.
But it is giving a special privilege to certain sectors.
Well, let's
And
vote on
and what happens when Beach Hop wants to go in? Those 3 camper van
Oh,
spaces.
that's when you use that power you've been referring to, your worship, to close it for the events, you close it for freedom.
Anyway, just to say this from possible judicial review or anything, is Gary proposing it?
Well, I'll step back on that then. You'd like to-
I'm just thinking for the sake of.
Yeah, okay.
So sorry, I'm sorry, I still put the scores down. The health and safety is a 3 or a 4.
So which, sorry?
Health and safety, a 3 or a 4.
Well, it's just all the stuff.
4,
4.
and the access is
Yeah, 4.
is a 4. So that gives a total of 9.
Okay, so Terry, you're moving it?
Yeah.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried.
Against.
Oh, right, it's okay.
You were very quick this afternoon. I don't think. You might be quick.
Can't look around, we're, you know, we were a good time in a long time. Okay, Woodlands Ave, I thought I'd say it a little bit differently. Woodlands Ave car park for Amended. Happy, John?
Well, yeah, yep, we're happy.
Okay, that concludes it except for Beach Road, and we have to go back to any others, Murray, Tony, Gary?
We want a charity over just to make sure we've got Buffalo Beach Road,
2 on Buffalo Beach Road.
Dario.
You mean, I just read.
Buffalo Beach Road is a prohibited area,
Perfect.
So does that include?
or Buffalo Beach Reserve, sorry.
Buffalo Beach Road.
Right.
That's the ones by the
It's
public
public toilets up at the hospital, but if you looked and read the order paper, Tony, Murray, you would have seen that it's, as far as I'm aware.
I just want to make it so you want to.
You went out with it, but it didn't you?
Yes,
Yes.
No, we need to check.
I just want to make.
I'm not sure if it's the road.
Just the road.
Public toilets opposite the hospital.
I didn't actually see it.
Yeah, the map that I saw.
So what is proposed prohibited is the reserve, like Buffalo Beach Reserve, the road, I don't know, Buffalo Beach Road is not proposed to be prohibited area. That's a different, that's an entirely different place.
It's not, it's just that the sites around the public toilets in the middle of Buffalo Beach.
Yeah, that's.
Buffalo Beach Reserve doesn't encourage, but that's like.
Oh, yeah. Keep going up.
But those are quite far south, so where are the public toilets on?
Right there where your finger is, isn't there? Yeah,
Yeah, so that's part of the,
prohibited.
or are they?
That one, if you're on the reserve, then you.
No, they're
on the right.
It's quite a right, so actually.
If it's on the road, it's really permitted.
I'm assuming it's right reserved, but definitely,
Well, it's road, it's parking, still parking on the road.
yes.
But is it prohibited or?
No, it's permitted.
The reserve is
The
prohibited.
reserve is permitted.
Sometimes you might not know where the reserve is if you're voters, you know.
No, there's car parks by the public toilet in the middle of Buffalo Beach Road. And they, so that, we want that prohibited.
So that is a new area, that is not proposed in the draft.
It's interesting, because that's what we would not be able to blend.
The current restricted area? In the current one.
No.
I'd like it.
Oh, and you mean in between the team?
You're right in there.
That's in the reserve.
No, well, the road, and the mark of the road coming in. Help you.
So the black line is the boundary of the reserve.
There's a toilet building there.
So it's half on the reserve and half.
Technically, but we want to designate it. Two car parks and then off-road parking. So not off-road parking.
If it's coming from, we said we put it into the proposed quality and standard of the.
No, it's not, it wasn't proposed.
We just agree.
Of course, you want to break it.
So we haven't had any indication of it.
Yeah, you don't.
I'm just keeping silent, that's my.
So that it leads to the conclusion. Right, now, where are we? So
I'm just checking if it was in the old 2014 bylaw.
Yeah, it was definitely,
Well,
it was definitely the.
there was a submission in,
No, that's my submission.
was there a submission in against?
I don't think so, it's what came from the community board. So that, we tried, something we've tried to do for 3 years.
Yeah, the Green Board put a submission in about it.
Did they?
Yes, hold it.
Are
We
you
talked
aware
about
of this
it, no?
one? Mercury Bay Community Board submission, did it ask for that to be prohibited? And then there's only one more to do, and that's your beach road one.
Literally, the
One we're going into that.
Okay, so while you're looking, should we go back to beach road?
I can,
And then we're finished, right?
Buffalo Beach was a restricted area in 2014 bylaw.
yes,
Buffalo Beach Road.
No, Buffalo Beach.
yeah, well, that's what we're talking about.
yeah. And that looks to include the reserve. So,
Buffalo Beach car park.
There were only two down Buffalo Beach, the main reserve didn't have any. Because the main reserve was locked at night, so they can't park there.
so. What's that brings up?
But this is the,
Back on the screen.
so this,
The entire area that we've identified here as prohibited used to be restricted. And the designated area was by the toilets.
And that's down within the restricted area?
I don't think that area was actually in the original, because that area has always been locked up at night.
But the way it worked is the entire area identified as reserved, restricted, designation of 2 car parks down by the toilets. We have proposed in this one that that area is,
So you're including those 2 cars up in the main area.
well, and that's going to be where the, so,
Well done. You've got all of them.
yeah, so the,
Do you have Mercury Bay?
I'll just take a look for it.
That's part of the reason. That's good, that's all I want.
But we have to check that it was referred in the Mercury Bay Community Board.
No, it was, well, it was done in the whole reserve thing, so it's all right.
Okay, so the area you concerned about this was in the boundary of the reserve. That is prohibited.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, the events on the reserve. Yeah.
One, there's only one finalised one.
And that's, okay, so that's fine, it's Buffalo Beach, everybody happy?
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
so Beach Road,
You bring that guy.
We're having one final.
Yeah. Do you boys have any others?
No, good. I'm getting close to the whiskey.
No, yes, one other. Just, right, Beach Road is the only one left, and that's Kerry's one.
Yeah, so cool. You had it. Okay, so Beach Road. So originally they had it right down here as the place to put it. There's a road, the service road, there's a placing it down here, the playground. There's a road that comes right round here. You can see that swale.
Page 55.
This one here, I'll get it out of the way. That's a service road through it. And we're thinking down here is a place that we can put 2 or 3 campers without any problem at all down this area. And
You've already had a bit of an issue there where you give them an inch, they take a mile and you end up with half a dozen.
yeah, well, it was down here where the kids were playing and the straight out direction from this guy here. And that's where the fuss was. And that was selected in 2014 by Gary Power. And we just think down here is an opportunity to put them, it's not going to, there's some trees around here, so it's not going to affect anybody's views. And they can be parked this side of the tree and hit this with the history. So that's what was suggested.
It's good if we can add a couple more.
Yeah.
You've only got the 3 in town, so I think it's going to be nice to be able to have it.
Gary, what's your view?
Well, I'm.
You want me to go?
But yeah, no, I know that, but that's, well, it might be like a couple of people. Yeah.
So you've got it in here, Beach Road from the
So
town.
where would you, could you actually?
Can you just show the sheet area because we have to define it?
Yeah. Right. So the area that we're talking about, these trees here, this road's like a road, so there's.
What's the name of that road?
Mason.
There's a,
No,
there's one here. There's, Rutherford, is it?
Rutherford.
You know what you deserve?
Bond Street, there's Bond Street.
Look at that.
It's Bond Street.
Bond Street.
No.
No, it's not, it's the end of Rutherford Road. Down here, the end of Rutherford Road. Yeah.
Quite wide.
Yeah,
You got all these trees.
You have to take the flag for putting them back there, aren't you?
Sorry?
You have to take the flag for putting them back there?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Man,
You get a tough skin in this environment.
I've all voted down.
So in the same way that we did for the decision to change the restricted areas to prohibited, this one was recommended to be prohibited with a score, area score of 4, eliminated score of 2, and access score of 3, giving a total of 9. So if you now want to permit it, you will need to reduce those scores.
So access is very good. It's on a side road, it's not on the main road. So access is excellent.
So access the 1.
Yeah.
Because it has to have, 1 is the lowest score. 0. So the area itself, in terms of significance, character areas, archaeological site, that sort of thing. So like I said previously, the score for that was actually quite high, was a 4.
Yeah, well, there's no archaeological.
Because it's a beachfront area.
It's up by the Ocean Sports Club, but they found a hole from that years ago, so.
Well, I don't think Farm Car's done as good a job as some other places, and I think Tim's done a really good job. They've had the advantage of having a couple of car parks.
Yeah,
Big
that's a big
places.
advantage.
We put people on a mess. And don't forget, they can drive from A to B. I'm a great believer in having 5, 6, 7 sites within a whole district and contain them into larger areas rather than have them scattered in mini spots all over the place in prime locations. Hey?
They raise a lot of issues, don't they? You're right.
It's fine.
Walk somewhere and drive, you're going to sit in your van and drink. But then we've got the other line, well, I might want to go and drive with a car, it'll be okay.
Well, it's sounding like you want to stay here.
Beach Road, so it's moving that.
So if we change the area score to 1,
Yeah.
which is recommended, health and safety will still stay as a 2,
Yeah,
and access still stay as a 3, that gives a total of 6.
Yeah. thank you.
Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Jerry, do you have a second?
Do I have a second for this?
I'll second it.
Oh, thank you, Mark.
Okay, any further discussion? Then I'll put the resolution for,
So that is to change it to a restricted area with a designated place for how many vehicles?
2 or 3, I don't know, there's room for 3.
For two.
I'll go 2.
I'm recommending it on condition that it's two.
2 is,
For two vehicles.
3, I was
For two vehicles on the grass area, on the seaward side of the reserve that is opposite.
Yeah, two.
Okay, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, I'm against.
So just we do also want to raise about, the assessment of these, that it's been based on, from your assessment, from the feedback of the submissions.
Yes.
The tool, as Shan has said, has discretion. So each of these sites, there will be opposition or
Yeah.
support, so we just have to be prepared to wear that.
yes.
So can I move the resolution? I should move the
There
resolution.
are 10 pages of resolutions. You're not even joking, I counted them.
Yeah, that was,
No, we've largely done them. Where did you say that there were 10?
Between pages 15 and 24. So yes, we did go through all of them, but I don't remember who moved and seconded. I don't remember.
Nobody has. So
No, that's what I'm going through now.
Perfect.
I'll move the resolutions on page X to page Y.
Whether it be,
Was 1 and 2. It's all
and
one
with the Amy made.
Yes. With the-
so you've moved that?
Yeah, I'm going to read
I'll
out.
second that. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Done. Thank you very much indeed, everybody.
It didn't say within the area.
But they have been missed in the previous meeting. I did that. For the next one. Thank you very much, everybody. It's now closed.
Thank you, Sam, you did well. I think Gary.